This next story brings together the two stories we've just talked about, the mass shooting in Michigan and the abortion arguments heard before the Supreme Court late yesterday. Democrat Chris Murphy from Connecticut posted this on Twitter. Driving home tonight, I thought about Republicans' floor speeches today on the sanctity of life and how this concern for life apparently doesn't extend to the kids who were shot today in a school in Michigan. So I turned the car around and went to the Senate floor. When the senator got there, here's part of what he said.
Do not lecture us about the sanctity, the importance of life. When 100 people every single day are losing their lives to guns, when kids go to school fearful that they won't return home because a classmate will turn a gun on them, you care about life? Then get these dangerous military-style weapons off the streets, out of our schools. This is a choice made by the United States Senate to sit on our hands and do nothing while kids die.
And Senator Murphy joins us now. What's the response, I wonder, been to your speech? I mean, obviously you have, made impassioned speeches before. You've worked on these issues for a long, long time. Do you ever get the feeling that it doesn't have an impact?
Oh, no, I think it all has an impact because we're building a social change movement, right? And every social change movement over the course of American history has to have the long view. It hits obstacles and failures before it achieves success. And that's what the modern anti-gun violence movement is. I'm not sure that I changed the minds of any of my Republican colleagues with that speech yesterday. But what I'm most worried about, Anderson, is that this country, people of goodwill, people of conscience, just start to normalize these shootings, start to believe that we have to accept 2 mass shootings every single day, many of these high-profile school shootings as part of the American landscape. It's just not true. It doesn't happen anywhere else other than the United States. It is a choice. There are policies in place that allow for this to continue. And my biggest worry is that we will lose this fight eventually because people decide that it's just part of the admission ticket to being an American. That's just not true.
You focus on what you see as the disconnect between you in the argument for the sanctity of life when it comes to abortion rights, and then not applying in the same way to the killing of kids.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly appears that Republicans give up on kids once they're born, because there are 100 people every single day dying from guns, a rate 10 times higher than any other high-income nation. But I also look at how cavalier Republicans have been about COVID. I mean, the fact that they're right now, as we speak, threatening to shut down the government because Joe Biden has vaccinated too many people. 700,000 people have died, and yet they don't seem serious about actually getting this thing under control. So I do get angry when I hear Republicans lecturing us on the sanctity and importance of preserving life, and then they do nothing when these kids are being murdered all over the country every single night. It's totally inconsistent.
It's been remarkable. I was watching a demonstration here in New York of city workers who didn't want to be vaccinated, and a lot of the signs, it seemed like a lot of mostly men, and a lot of the signs are about, you can't tell me what to do with my body, which were, given the context of the debate we've seen over abortion rights, it's really interesting to see that same argument being used by people who are, talking about vaccinations.
Yeah, Republicans, hate big government until it's a question of what a woman can do with her own body. Then all of a sudden, the government needs to make decisions for people. I mean, again, these are 2 issues that stand right next to each other. Republicans say that when it comes to vaccines, every individual should have control over their own body. The government has no business to tell you what to do. But when it comes to abortion, no individual should have a say over what happens to their own body. The government should be able to prescribe what you can do and what you can't do. None of it makes sense together, but that does not seem to bother the modern Republican Party. The hypocrisy is noted by others, but of no concern to those who seem to bring the arguments to the floor.
I want to play another moment from your speech last night on the floor.
It doesn't even involve any political risk. The changes we're talking about in order to make our schools safe places, they're supported by the vast majority of Americans, Republicans and Democrats. And yet the gun lobby and the gun industry is more important to half of the members of the Senate than is the safety of our kids. And that is infuriating.
Do you think the gun rights issue has become an even bigger rallying cry for Republicans since the former president got into politics?
That's a good question. I think the gun lobby has always been strong inside the Republican Party. Certainly Donald Trump did nothing to break that grip, but this is a symbiotic relationship in which the Republican Party has become a one-trick pony. All they talk about is how much they hate government. Well, the best way they can translate how much they hate government is to argue for the ability of the citizenry to arm themselves in order to overthrow the government. And so the gun lobby relies on the Republican Party. Republicans rely on the gun lobby. And at some point, that party will recognize that 80% of the American people don't agree with them. They want things like universal background checks. The vast majority of Americans want a ban on assault weapons. But that relationship between the Republican Party and the gun lobby, predating Donald Trump, is still one that we have yet to break. We will. I mean, it's just a question of when, not if. We just have to get stronger and stronger as a movement.
Senator Murphy, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.